had a conversation that took place nearly 20 years ago haunting me these last few weeks. I was on a date with a fellow student from my political science class during my sophomore year of college. The date started out rather unremarkably. We went to a movie, and when the movie ended, we returned to my dorm room to talk. It was there that we began to share stories of our childhood upbringings. My date told me that he had rather absent parents. And looking for a sense of belonging, a sense of knowing where he fit into society, he found refuge in the local neo-Nazis. This was a group that took him in, and they told him that because he was a white man, he was destined for great things. Power, privilege, leadership, these all were in his future. Over time, he started to question what it was he was learning from them. And shortly before leaving for college, he decided to leave the neo-Nazis. But leaving meant he left a group that told him where his place in society was. And there was a void, a loneliness that he couldn't quite fill. I shared that I had been incredibly lucky. My parents had impressed upon me that I had worth and I had value, and to always believe in myself. Now, my parents didn't tell me that the playing field was equitable. I knew that when my grandmother was born, she did not have the right to vote. It wasn't until years later that women had the right to vote, and then decades later that people of color got that same right affirmed. My mother told me how the first time she went to get a loan at the bank, she was denied because she didn't have a male to co-sign for that loan. And I told my date how as a little girl, I sat in social studies classrooms year after year, and on the walls were portraits of US presidents. And I longed to see a face that reflected my own face, because that would affirm to me that the society raising me saw females being capable of holding the highest office of power in this country. But, I said to my date, I firmly believe that one day in my life, I will see the first female president in this country. He looked at me and said, "You don't understand. You need to be patient. When people like you speak of wanting to have equal rights, what you are saying is that you want someone like me to give up my power. You are asking that I diminish myself, that the story I have been told in this country is no longer true for me, because you want something that has always been given to me instead. One day, Kate, you will see a female president in this country. It will happen, but it won't happen in your lifetime. We aren't ready." Needless to say, that was our last date. But I've found myself going back to that conversation a lot in the last month. And I've questioned if I perhaps have misunderstood the readiness of my fellow citizens. And in those moments where I have felt loss, and I've questioned how much I and other women are seen as capable leaders, I remind myself that in 2016, we, the people, did give the majority vote to a female candidate. And I think of all of those debates I've listened to the last few election cycles, the Republican primary, the Democratic primaries, And each of those debate stages have been filled by females and men sharing their aspirations for this country. So how does this story end? I don't think it actually does. Instead, I think every time you and I show up at our polling places and we cast our vote, we have the opportunity to write the next chapter and to say what our future history will be. Thank you.